how I finessed my way into becoming roommates with America's first female serial killer. AKA, my psychological finessing skills gone wrong. So you guys should eat this up. To preface, the home I'll be referencing in this video that I lived in is now owned as event space. So you don't have to believe anything I'm telling you here. You can go check it out for yourself. That roommate still lives there. She's lived there for 200 years. So if you do choose to go check it out, tell my girl I said hey. The year was 2022. I had only been living in Charleston for a couple months at this point. The time had come for me to find a new place to live. I had been scouring Facebook Marketplace and found nothing I could afford because it's Charleston. One morning, a beautiful, bright and shining ad pops up in the most beautiful carriage home of the largest privately owned residence in downtown Charleston, the Glover Skatilli House. It was listed for the right pricing of $650 a month. 22-year-old Nicole was like, ding, 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 sign me up. This is right in my budget, boys. But as you can imagine, $650 a month was in a lot of other girls' budgets too. So after I messaged the girl, she goes, you are welcome to attend our open house, but be aware there is going to be about 20 other girls there. I was like, are you kidding me? But as we all know, it wouldn't be my first rodeo. So what do? Tell them I'm not gonna be able to make it in time for the open house because I have work that night, even though I only worked a 9 to 5, and that I'd have to come early before all the other girls got there. I make these ladies fall in love with me. I was signed, sealed, delivered the next day, baby. Flash forward to a month later, I'm moving myself all by my lonesome into a brand new house. I remember it feeling thick. But I knew the house was 200 years old. I didn't really believe in ghosts. It's dark and stormy. I can't make this up. I have video. I had been in the house all of 10 minutes before I started hearing the women's voices downstairs. I knew that the 3 other girls that I was to be living with weren't going to be back in the residence for 2.5 to 3 weeks. So I was going to be staying in this house by myself. Naturally, I assume that the voices I'm hearing downstairs are maybe one of the roommates back early. So I go out onto the balcony, hey, no one. But whatever, there's an Airbnb beneath this house. Maybe it was a gardener, who knows? There's like acres of this house. That night, I'm finishing up unpacking and I hear the voices again. But I kind of dusted off because I had just started getting floaters in my eye and I was freaking out that I was seeing things that weren't there. So I was like, this is probably just part of my early onset schizo behaviors. Until one of my friends broke the news to me that floaters are a normal occurrence of people with stigmatisms. The next day, I was dating a guy at the time who was a good old boy, didn't believe in ghosts, and I knew would tell me if I was crazy. I will never forget that night as he busted out of my double doors to the balcony yelling, who's there? When a good old boy tells you you're not crazy, you know you're not crazy. As time went on, I started to realize that whatever these encounters were only primarily happening when this boyfriend was there. So one day I finally get to the point where I'm close enough with one of the roommates who coincidentally had lived in the house longest to ask her, has anybody ever questioned whether this house is haunted? She takes the biggest sigh, says, let me put on my PJs. How long do you have? I'm going to do my best to retell her story in the quickest way possible for those of you who are unfamiliar with Lavinia Fisher. Lavinia Fisher had this husband or partner. They were running the streets of Charleston, offing people, stripping them of their clothes, burying the bodies, and selling the clothes down on Market Street. So in other words, they were unorthodox consignment. And the first founders of Uptown Cheapskate. Can you imagine? They were eventually caught, and the husband was arrested and taken to jail. But in the 1700s, of course, women didn't have to go to jail if they were married to somebody without a felony. So Lavinia knew what she had to do. Our girl had to find a way to get laid. Legend has it that she was seen running the streets of Charleston in a wedding dress, begging any man she walked by to marry her. Relatable. Before her life sentencing, right here in Marion Square, as she was still wearing her wedding dress, with her final words being, do any of you have anything you'd like for me to say to the devil? I was like, what? The devil? I don't know him, I don't want to know him. Nice to meet you too, sis. Why didn't we talk about this at the open house? So I'm like, let's clear some things up here. First of all, what about Why is she here? Because what's up with my room? Well, Glover or Skatilli were a doctor, and they would practice medical procedures on the women in the carriage home, aka my house. So they all hated men, but Lavinia especially. And their sleeping quarters were in my bedroom. Enjoy your time here, though. It's gonna be great. I thought I was moving in with 3 roommates. I moved in with like 56. Come to find out, the girl that lived in my room had the same, if not worse, experiences, like voices in the shower. Burn it down, burn it down. Things get creepier. We get infested with fleas. Crows are flying into my bedroom. And it all is circulating around this boyfriend. It was one cold night in January. I got fed up and I said, you know what? I think I want to break up with you. Was that our final moments together? No, of course not. But that night, I came home. I flopped down on my bed and I said, ladies, if there is any night y'all will let me sleep, please let it be tonight. I don't think I woke up once. And mind you, this haunting had me prescribed alprazolam. Every boy that I had to that house after that were also catalysts for terrible things happening. However, I did kind of get into cahoots with the ghosties and I felt like they were my friends and I think started to respect my game. Anyways, long story short, is it nice getting whatever I want whenever I want? Yeah. But do the spirits of the afterworld don't really care how good you are at finessing and will haunt you regardless? Yeah. So yeah, now I believe in ghosts. And you could too. And this is not promotional for that house. I don't know what they're planning to do in there, but that is not their crib. It's theirs. 'Tis the season, ladies. It's spoopy time.
People think the Grand Canyon is empty after dark, but if you camp near Bright Angels Point, you might see something glowing in the cliffs long after sunset, like an office building covered in rock. And in fact, these lights are so common that some locals in northern Arizona have a name for this story. It's called the Canyon's Pulse. And we got a story from a listener who camped there. But before I get into that, it's important to note that these stories started back in the 1950s when a group of park rangers reported seeing a column of white fire rising from the Grand Canyon floor. Mysteriously, the ranger logs from that week have disappeared. This story came from Meredith, and she says last spring she and 2 friends were camping on the north rim of the Grand Canyon near Bright Angel Point. She said that part of the park is closed for a lot of the year, but they were camping in May, partially because they wanted to go before all the crowd showed up. And where they were camping was just outside of the official boundary of the park. It was down an old Forest Service road just off of Point Sublime Trail. Now, Meredith said they didn't have any service where they were camping at, and once the sun went down, it was total darkness, total silence. They went to bed early. She woke up around midnight needing to pee, and so she went off to the bathroom. That's when she noticed a faint blue light coming from deep within the canyon. She thought at first maybe it was a headlamp, but this was coming from deep below the rim, way past any campsite, way past any trail. She quickly rules out that it's a headlight or a flashlight because it pulsed 3 short bursts and then it went dark. She could not for the life of her figure out what it was. So she woke up her friends, they went to the edge of the rim again and they were looking for this light, and that's when it reappeared. But this time there were more of them. The original light lit up and then there was another one to the east, but she said this must have been miles from the original light. They all stood at the edge watching and they see a third light come on, and they're all pulsing and blinking in different patterns and different rhythms, and it almost seems like they're sending signals to each other. And that's when she said something happened that she still can't really explain, but her friends saw it too. The whole canyon for a split second lit up as if from within. She said, I swear to you, it looked like there were actual windows glowing behind the rock face like an office building lit up at night. She said you could even make out the pattern, square shapes of light stacked in rows fading deep within the canyon. And then she said as suddenly as it lit up, it went dark, and that's when they heard a low mechanical hum coming from deep down below them. And at that point, they noticed a dark helicopter that swept over the rim. It was totally dark, totally unmarked, and without lights. She said they didn't even hear it until it was almost right above them, but it turned into the gorge and then disappeared completely from sight. When the helicopter disappeared, the 3 lights that they saw originally also went out completely. The next day, they went over to the overlook at Bright Angel Point, and they were looking for any signs of campsites or anything from down below that could have explained what they experienced the night before, but they couldn't find anything. And they actually ended up telling a ranger what they saw, and he said, oh, those were probably just survey drones. So Meredith said she asked him, like, what kind of survey drone can make the inside of a canyon look like an office building, and he didn't answer. They stayed one more night, but didn't notice anything strange. So they camped 2 nights, and then the following morning they left and were driving toward Jacob Lake, and they were going to grab some breakfast. They ended up stopping at a diner that she said looked like it had been there forever, and their server was this older woman with her hair pulled tight into a gray bun. She was pleasant, she was polite, she was making conversation with them, and so they told her about the black helicopter and the lights they saw in the canyon. But this woman didn't even bat an eye. She's like, oh, you saw them, huh? And they're like, we saw them. What do you mean? She's like, yeah, y'all aren't the first people this month to see them. We call that the canyon's pulse. And then she leans in and she's like, back when I started here, the rangers used to come in here and they would talk about these pulsing lights and nobody knew what they were. Not even the rangers. They would show up, they would pulse, a black helicopter would fly down, and then they would all go out. Meredith and her friends press her for a more concrete answer, but she said she doesn't really know much. And she said, some people say they're survey drones, and that makes sense, sure. Other people think it's related to the Cold War experiments they were doing at Camp Navajo. She tells them that they'll never admit to anything, though. But then she says, I think that it's the canyon itself. I think the canyon watches people. I think it's alive. And then Meredith and her friends are like, why do you think that? The woman smiles and she says, yeah, when I was young, I was hiking with my brother, and I swear the whole canyon lit up like a city. There were lights coming from everywhere. And I just felt like the canyon wanted to be seen. I can't explain it further than that. It's just a feeling that I... And so Meredith's like, well, has anyone else around here seen it? Or what do they think? And this old woman's just like, nobody around here thinks anything. Everybody around here knows. Meredith said she's been back to the Grand Canyon twice, and although she hasn't seen the lights again, she just has this feeling now that there's something buried and ancient there that's hiding in plain sight. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. I've only been to the Grand Canyon once when I was too little to remember it, but I would love to go back. So anybody local, please weigh in. If you're new here, my series is called Spooky Scary Storytime, and I try to post a new story almost every single day about the things that people experience that they think nobody else would believe.
This is one of the scariest stories I've ever read. It was posted 10 years ago on Reddit by an account called A Writer Named Williams. It was on the subreddit called Let's Not Meet. The story is called Poker Face. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this very scary story. This happened in Antioch, California. It was around 2 a.m. I was at a friend's house, safe and warm, sheltered suburbia. We were having a lot to drink, chit-chatting, enjoying ourselves, of course. When you're having fun, time hits the fast forward button, and those few minutes turn into an hour. I had too much to drink. My friend has a bit of an abrupt bedtime, so I had to dodge out early, still intoxicated. I felt too shameful thinking I'd be asking too much to stay in his house to sleep off the drunkenness. I suppose he was either too rude or too drunk to consider it himself. Whatever. Sometimes a little inconvenience makes you appreciate everything else. I needed about another hour or so to sober up and drive back. As fast as time passed during my stay, it decided to drastically slow down as soon as I stepped out of his house. It was a cul-de-sac area, a concrete jungle with the stem of the street breaking into a fork. Alongside the road, my car was parked. The only street light that worked was in the middle of the cul-de-sac circle, about 80 yards away. I stumbled towards my car, produced my keys, and felt the metal line up. Opened my door and shifted to the back seat. Because this was a dark, strange, and unfamiliar neighborhood, I took the leftover newspapers and a sweater in my back seat to cover myself up. I was a little scared. I wanted to camouflage myself and not just be some guy awkwardly sitting in his car, waiting for time to pass in order to drive home. I couldn't fall asleep. The uncomfortable feeling of a cheap backseat bed enshrouded in darkness didn't make the chance of slumber easier. It felt too ominous, and of course my mind began to wonder. I thought of worst-case scenarios, like how the police would shine their lights on me through the window, or a drunk driver hitting my car, and... Wait. In the distance, about 100 yards away, I hear footsteps approaching. The gravel scuffed with each step forward, growing in proximity but periodically taking stops. I wondered why until it made sense in my mind. Whoever it was probably looking through cars carefully, with the intent to steal one. I couldn't recall how many cars were on the block, but I counted 3 full stops until he was at my window, breathing. I froze. There was no more than 1 foot between us. The car encapsulated me as I lay hidden beneath backseat clutter, forming myself into an object, trying my hardest to be unnoticeable, unmoving, and simply not there. "I see you," said a 40-plus-year-old man in a perverse baby talk. I imagine when you were playing hide and seek and one of your friends tricks you into coming out, he said it in that tone of voice, as if baiting me, like he was questioning whether the clutter in the back seat was just clutter or a person. I didn't want to move or check the window. I remained clutter. Give me an Academy Award. My body reacted by minimizing my breathing so much that I felt paralyzed. I dare not to look. My eyes fixated on the back of the passenger seat. I didn't blink, I didn't move, I didn't breathe. My heart was pounding so hard it shook my body with each throb. He circled around the car. My ears didn't fail me. I heard the steps. I felt like I was part of the car. I could feel him touching the trunk as he carefully pressed down on it, as if to test the alarm, as if to test me. I was in the middle of fight or flight. I couldn't do either without elevating danger. I was frozen and hoping to God he was bluffing. He circled the car again. The door handle to my right jiggled. He was pulling it multiple times. I see you. Same tone, but more agitated and stressed, more convinced that he was trying to make that clutter move, revealing itself to be one of his expectations that it was me. My muscles tensed like a cow before slaughter. That had to be metal against glass. Take a penny right now and tap your window. A crowbar, a knife, a rock, a gun. My eyes fixated on the seat in front of me, never averting my gaze like he was. I was covered enough to where I couldn't see beyond the seat in front of me. I know I couldn't see him, but I can feel his eyes resting on top of me.
My name is Poker Face. What's your name?
The voice changed in a lower, demented and serious tone. My mind forced a visual. It wasn't anything human. I already accepted my death. I was ready to be shot in the head, ready to take a life-changing bullet, multiple knife wounds. Just make the sleep bearable, not excruciating, as you drain me of life. I wouldn't know how to react. My thoughts grew dimmer. I imagined my friend waking up the next morning after a calm night of safe and sound sleep, only to discover my mutilated, defiled, and bloody body hanging outside of my car door. It was then I heard nothing but my own heart. What was this person doing now? Just staring at me in the middle of the night, talking to me, or a messy pile in the back seat? Time froze. The footsteps were being swallowed in the distance. Thank God he left. I waited another hour until the sun showed hints of itself. I jumped in my front seat and bolted out of there, wide-eyed and sober. And that's the end of the story.
I'm pretty sure this is going to be the last home healthcare video that I'll be making. I have to double check my book, but around that time I was always writing things down whenever they happen, but I'll have to double check and let you know. So let's get into it. So around this time, I was packing a bag about, 3 days, sometimes even 2 weeks, and I'll be going to these clients' houses. I was working for this home healthcare company. And so I packed the bag for the 24th, 25th, and 26th of December, and I was at this woman's house. Now, I had already been to her house months before. I had been there consistently for months, and nothing ever happened in her house. So here we are. This is a small house. We're up in the living room and we're dancing. She likes to dance. And so we're up there dancing, having a ball. And I noticed a lot of new decoration. I'm like, oh, you've been decorating? She's like, yeah, the other girl, whenever she's on shift, she helps me decorate. I'm like, cool. The doorbell rings. I go to the doorbell. I go to the door. I open the door and it was my coworker, the woman that she was just talking about. And she brought this chair. And I'm like, you brought a chair? She was like, yeah, it's adding to our decoration. This is something that we like doing together. I'm like, okay, cool. That was sweet. So she brings the chair in. When she brought the chair in, she set it all the way at the end of the hall. And it had this painting that was over it. So I'm like, okay, that's sweet. So we continue our stuff. The lady leaves. We continue dancing. And then the woman wants to get in bed. So I put her in bed. Fast forward to after I put her in bed, I put the motion sensors down just in case she gets up. So the motion sensors started going crazy. And I looked at the camera and she's laying in bed. She's knocked out. So finally I stand up, and when I stand up to go check and peek my head around the corner, there's this dark figure sitting in the chair that my coworker had just brought into the house. Can't make out if it's a man or a woman just yet, but it was a very dark figure, and I heard stomping, but it didn't sound like feet. And then I look over and it has like this cane in its hand, just stomping it on the ground, on the floor. So finally I get up, I run over to my duffel bag, and I get my Bible out, and I get to praying. And it's just sitting there looking at me like, and I said, so you just not gonna go? Like, you just not gonna leave? So then once I started to get aggravated and I started to really be really forceful with the words from the Bible, that's when it stood up and it walked into the bathroom, and then it walked back out. But when it walked back out the bathroom, it did this high jump in the air. Like, okay, what was that about? After it did that little high jump, that weird thing, it disappeared from in front of me. but I heard the motion sensor. So I walked over to the camera. And when I walked up to the camera, I see his face. Yes, it was a he in the camera, and he's pointing at my client. So, of course, I'm aggravated. I go back there and I flick the lights on. I didn't care if she was asleep. I was just worried because I know you ain't here for her. Not right now. Not right now. So then fast forward, I played it off to the woman like, oh, do you have to use the bathroom? I'm so sorry that I flicked the light on like that. And so she's like, oh, no, I'm okay. So she lays back down. Once I go back out to the living room, I get to praying. I get to like drawing crosses over all the doors, over all the windows. But next thing you know, I feel something walk behind me. And when I felt it, I turned around and he's right here in my face, like right here in my face. I almost dropped to the floor, y'all, but I couldn't do it because then he'd be thinking that he had one up on me. So that entire night, he would just randomly pop up in my face. He would randomly pop up on the sofa, or he would be sitting in that chair that my coworker brought. Now, this is the scariest part. The scariest part is the fact that right after he left up out of my client's room, I could hear her gasping for air like she needed me. And so I ran in there and I sat her up on the edge of the bed and I'm like, are you okay? And she said that she said, I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not ready to go. Now, all this time, she's never talked like this. And so I'm just like, you ain't got to go yet if you don't want to. I think what made me more nervous about it is the fact that it was a dark figure that came to collect her. At that point, I was just like, do you want to pray with me? We had never prayed together before, but in that moment, she wanted to pray. So we prayed, right? So fast forward to while we're praying, he just sat down. Like, I wait. So I think that scared me too, because what has this woman done in her life that is so terrible to have a dark figure come to collect her and take her somewhere, and not even a prayer can stop it, can stop her from going with him. Now, here's the even scarier part. I got a feeling to look outside. So I went ahead and I looked out the window. And when I looked out the window, there were two other dark figures standing on the sidewalk. That scared the crap out of me, because I know y'all better just be here for her. So I hear knocking on the door. Of course, I'm not answering it because I just looked out the window. I saw y'all out there. I'm not opening the door. And so the woman, she starts getting hysterical and she is like really going crazy. I'd never seen her like this before. And so do y'all know, like probably not even 24 hours after I left, that woman passed away. She passed away. And in my head, I felt so bad. But in my head, I was thinking like, oh my God, this family gonna think I'm the Grim Reaper.
I did not believe in ghosts until Monday night. My whole life, I'm just naturally skeptic about like the good spirits and the bad spirits. Like I have a hard time believing in anything, you know? My husband believes in everything. So, you know, he's claimed to have spirits visit him throughout his life, you know, and things like that. But I have just always been like, okay, yeah, I believe that you believe you saw that. But then, like, you know, I don't know. I have a hard time with that. Monday night, though, I was laying in bed. My bed faces the door, which was open. And then there's the hallway, which is just a wall. Okay. So my husband was playing video games, and sometimes he comes up and checks on me, and then he goes back down. So I see a shadow of what I had no reason other than to believe that was him come check on me and leave. So I called him and I was like, hey, can you come back upstairs? I want to talk to you for a second. And then he was like, oh, no, I'm in the basement. What do you mean? I was never upstairs. And I was like, oh, okay. Someone's in the house. Come upstairs. Grab your weapon and come upstairs. So he runs upstairs with his weapon. We're looking around the house. This is all happening very quickly. There's nowhere that anyone could have gone in that amount of time where we wouldn't have found them. So, I mean, at this point, I'm not thinking anything paranormal still. I'm just thinking like someone's in my house, so I'm checking on my babies. I looked everywhere in my kids' rooms. My daughter was asleep on my floor because she wasn't feeling good, so I looked in my room. Everything was good. There was no one there. No windows were open. No doors were unlocked. So we go downstairs. We kind of start talking about it. He's already convinced himself that it's paranormal, so he's called his family members that have also seen paranormal things in their lifetime, and he's talking to them, and we go upstairs and we see like where the light was, and I'm like, okay, something else had to have happened. Like something else could have cast that shadow. Like maybe there was a bug fly in front of the light or something. Like let's just mess around with the light, see what could have caused a shadow. The only way that I found that could have cast a shadow the way that it would have had to have been a very, very tall person to cast from where I saw on the wall all the way down. And it would have had to have been standing in the nursery doorway. So I think that's weird, but I'm still, I'm not going to that place. Like, it just, okay, I kind of am now, I guess. I should be honest. I kind of am thinking about it, but not like I'm still in denial. Yeah. So I'm looking around. We don't see anything. I don't have, like, a bad feeling or anything. I feel pretty neutral. People say, like, that you can feel evil energy. I don't know, but I didn't feel anything. So, I was downstairs, kind of just, like, looking around. And then my husband went into the nursery, starts yelling, get the babies. So he picks up what happened was he saw the spirit that he had seen throughout his childhood standing above our daughter in her crib. And so we were out of that house in 20 seconds in the car on the way to my mom's house. Like, that's just, we were gone. We were not risking anything. I'm a skeptic, but I'm not stupid. I'm getting out of there. So then we have animals. So we had to go back in the morning to go feed our animals. He went with my dad. My dad went to go, check things out. I stayed at my mom's house with my babies. They came back. They were like, nothing's weird. We didn't feel anything. All good. So now I'm not worried. We went back at night to feed the animals dinner. We're like, okay, we're going to stay at the house one more time just because, we're still like a little freaked out of what it could have been because I know what I saw. I know that someone was there. Like, I don't know. I know that I saw something. So I'm still a little freaked out. So I go over there with my husband to feed the dog, but I'm not even worried. So I open the door, not even scared. And every cabinet and every drawer in my kitchen was wide open. My husband didn't leave it that way. My dad said that they were all closed when they left. Like, and then I went into each of my rooms, each of, like, my kids' rooms and my room, and all the drawers were wide open. I went into my bathroom, wide open. My cabinets were wide open. So I was freaked out. I was out of there. We called my parents. They came. All four of us were walking through the house, trying to see, like, if something was taken, trying to see if, like, someone had broken into my house. There was nothing taken. There were no, like, entrances of the home that were left unlocked or, like, weirdly opened or anything. Any of the valuable stuff in my house was still there. Like, so it didn't look like someone had broken in, but I don't know. So I am feeling weird about it. I do feel, I don't know, like I sound crazy being like, there's a ghost in my house, but I don't know. Like, I'm freaked out now. So now what I'm going to do about it is I'm going to go and I'm going to salt the outside of my house. I'm going to go give it a good sage. I'm going to get a religious leader to come bless the home, kind of say a prayer over everything, and we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated. But now I have, like, my cameras working, and because my cameras were there, but they weren't, like, I have, like, a blink camera, and so my notifications and, like, movement was off. So now I have it on, and it'll notify me if there's any movement or activity. I don't know. I feel stupid saying this, but I'm scared. I don't know how to, like, explain some of that. But yeah, keep you guys updated.
82% of CIA agents are men, which is crazy to me because one time I used a guy's public Venmo transaction history and his Twitter likes to figure out that he was also seeing a girl across the country. And I just don't believe a man could do that.
Hi friends, my name is Liera, and I lived in my own horror movie for 3 years. I want to get into part 1 of that story. I also wanted to say thank you so much to anybody that commented or liked that video or followed me because of it. The fact that people care about what I have to say at all about anything means so much to me, honestly. So, like, it made me so happy. So thank you so, so much. If you like ghost stories, the paranormal, the unexplained, anything like that, give me a follow. I'm going to get into this story. It's not all my TikTok is about, but it's definitely going to be my main focus for a little bit. If you like it, stick around. I want to give, though, before, or as part of part 1, I want to just give a tiny bit of backstory real quick. I feel like it's important just to kind of set the scene. And it just kind of, it adds to the story. So, and then I'm going to start with kind of like the small things, the red flags that were missed, the small things, and then how they progressed into the big things. The big things, like I said, I'm going to kind of do like story times with those for sure as well. But to start off, so until I was 11, we lived in the house I was born in. I have 2 older sisters and 2 parents, and we lived in that house. Everything was great. Nothing weird ever happened there, whatever. We moved out when I was 11, and we moved into a super, super tiny apartment, and it was above my grandparents. So for that reason, I loved it because I could run down and hang out with my grandparents, but it was too small for us. Now, at this time, my older sisters had both moved out, so they weren't in the house. So the apartment was just me and my parents, but it was definitely too small for the 3 of us. So once the lease was up, we needed to leave. Now, this was like 2006 or 7, 2000, I think 2007. Money was tight. The recession was about to pop up. So we needed something really fast. And lo and behold, we find this huge house that is dirt cheap to rent per month. First missed red flag. Why was it so cheap? Didn't really need any repairs. It was a nice house. I mean, it was weird. Now, here's the biggest thing about that house is it is a church parsonage. I'm going to make a video too. I want to show you guys pictures, and I also want to go down to the house itself. I live literally 4 minutes away from it, and I want to film so I can tell you guys stories and kind of show you, like, because one involves a window, something that we saw from outside. I want to show you guys that window so you can really see like what I'm talking about. But anyway, we go to look at the house, and first immediate red flag. The upstairs is much dirtier, like dustier and everything than the downstairs is. And my mom or dad mentioned something about it to the person that was showing us the house. And they were like, sorry, I got a weird back cramp. And they were like, oh, the guy who lived here before barricaded the stairs and never went upstairs. Now there's 2 bathrooms in the house, but there's only one with a shower, and that's upstairs. So the downstairs bathroom only has a toilet and a sink. So he went to the lengths to not go upstairs, that he would go other places to take a shower. Why we thought that was normal is beyond me. It makes perfect sense in hindsight because most of the terrifying, awful things happened upstairs. So, I mean, I get it. I'm so curious what he saw to eventually get him to that point, but I can take a wild guess. So anyhow, first missed red flag. Other guy never went upstairs. Second red flag, my dad and I are walking up into the attic, and so you walk up, it's like 4 steps, and then like a little kind of cubby on the side. You can open up the door. A person would fit in there, but it's kind of small, whatever. I don't know why I said a person. That sounded creepy. But anyway, then you turn, you're on a little landing, and then you go further up the stairs. But in between the stairs here, there's like a slanted wall. So if you were coming down the stairs or up the stairs, you could jump onto this slanted wall. Why you would do that, though, I have no clue. But there were like shoe prints in the dirt, like sliding down this wall. Now, that could be explained, I suppose. Somebody could have been painting. That's about the only reason I can imagine you would be on that little wall, though. There's not another good reason. So that was bizarre. We get up into the attic, and there's 4 rooms in the attic. So there's one right in front of you, one right beside that, one down this hall, and one down this hall. Now, the one that would have been right to our left had a big window in it, and it looks out onto the street. The people that were showing us the house told us that nothing was left there, that they had checked it, nobody left belongings, nothing. Absolutely nothing, 0 belongings. There was a rocking chair, like right in front of this window. Now, again, I guess that's not super weird, although it is weird to me because there's multiple windows in the house. Like, why are you looking out the attic one? But regardless, it also explainable. But the rocking chair was like weird. We kind of looked at each other like, okay. That's about it with the attic. We then go down to the basement. This is where I know for a fact, like, we both felt something and we didn't say it to each other. But I remember looking at my dad, and now my dad, here's some backstory. He was a preacher at the time. He is not scared of anything, really. He's like the toughest, bravest guy I know. And we walked down these basement stairs, and I will never be able to put into words the feeling that I felt walking down those stairs. It was like this heaviness that I could physically feel my chest getting tighter, and like I can almost feel it as I'm describing it right now. And just like the air almost being sucked out of my lungs each step I went down. And we get to the bottom, and I kind of look at my dad and I was like, it's kind of creepy down here. And he was like, And when he doesn't say much, I know it's because something's going on in his head. There's like 7 rooms in this basement, and it is horrifying. The one room that has the washer and the dryer in it has clearly, like, at one time had bunk beds on the wall, almost the whole way to the ceiling, then to the floor. No mattresses or anything, but you could tell that's what it was. I have no clue who was sleeping down there or why. Then the other rooms, there was not much in them, but still, we had this horrible feeling. And then we go into the last room, and there's one of those bricks. When a building is built, or in this case, a house, and they'll put like one of those bricks or like stones in there that says the year. We see one of those, and it's in the wall, and says, I need to look it up. I think 1862, but I want to be sure, so I will look that up. So we see one of those, and then right under it is this hole in the floor. And we look, and we can see like water in it. So my dad grabs a stick. Conveniently, there's like a big stick in the corner of the room, and he's like putting it down through, and it's not ending. It's just never ending. And he pulls it back up, and there's just like dark water just kind of dripping. And we're just looking at each other, and I could tell he knew he needed to say something to comfort me, because I'm like, what the actual helly is going on? He was like, I'll have to look into that. So many red flags that were missed. But regardless, I loved all of the space. I'm becoming a teenager. I want to have friends over. I want my own space. I need it. We needed something fast. My mom had a lot of doubts. My mom kept saying, I have a bad feeling about this. She was so valid and so right to have those feelings, and we really should have listened to her, but we did not. After a few weeks, we packed up. Now, here's the crazy thing too. I don't remember moving in there. I just remember, boom, we're there. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this off for now. Once I get to part 2, we will start with being in the house once we are moved in, the things that started to happen and kind of how they progressed. If anybody has any questions at all, feel free to ask me. I'm an open book. I do not care. I will answer pretty much anything. And again, thank you for being here. I will probably put up part 2 tonight, tomorrow at the latest. All right, thank you. Bye.
Never thought I'd be scared of a knock-knock joke, that's for sure. But after listening to this story last night, I had to go to the restroom, and the whole time I'm in the restroom, I'm like, no one better knock on my door right now. No one better knock on my door. So the guy gets woken up by his girlfriend saying, knock, knock. He looks at the time, and it is 3:27 in the morning, and he is so confused. So he's like, what are you doing? Why are you waking me up saying knock, knock? And her response to all of that is, knock, knock. And he's like, what the fuck? Like, we're asleep. Why are you waking me up trying to get me to play this little game with you by saying knock knock? And his girlfriend's like, just answer me. And she goes, knock knock. And he's like giving up, so he's like, fine, who's there? And she says, it's not me, don't open the door. Turns around and goes back to sleep, and he stays there like, what the fuck? So he ends up going to bed still, and the following morning he wanted to ask her why she did that, and it almost seemed like she was trying to ignore his question, but she ends up telling him, oh, it's just a little prank that I thought of, and like she leaves to work. Like she was trying everything to avoid the question for whatever reason. So they both go to work, they have dinner, and they go to bed, and again he gets woken up by her saying knock knock. He looks at the clock and it's 3:27 in the morning, and he looks at her and says, "You already told me this was a prank. Why are you doing this again? Let's just go back to sleep." And the only thing she responds to him with is, knock knock. So he's irritated and he's like, "What is the point of this? What are you doing? Like, just tell me what's the end game." All she says is, "Just answer, knock knock." And he's like, "Fine, who's there?" And she goes, "It's not me, don't open the door." She turns around and goes back to bed. So at this point, the boyfriend is angry because he's like, why is she waking us up over a stupid prank or joke or a game when we both have to work the next day? So that morning when they woke up to go to work, he was like, "You need to tell me why you're doing this." And she wasn't going to leave the door like she did the first night, not really giving him a real answer. So he's like, "You need to tell me why. What's the end game? What are you doing?" However, she gives him the same answer. "It's just a game. It's just a game." Like, and he's like, "Why? Why?" And she's like, it's a game. And she just like leaves the house. So as you can imagine, they come home, have dinner, go to sleep. And again, she wakes him up at 3:27 in the morning. But this time he's not answering. He's like, "Why are you doing this? What is the end game?" And she goes, "Just answer, knock knock, just answer." And he's like, "No." And she's like, "Answer, knock knock, answer." And he's like, "I'm not answering. Why are you doing this?" So he's like, "You know you're causing a problem in our relationship. This isn't a joke anymore. You're waking me up in the middle of the night when we both have to go to work. So no, I don't want to play your game. Why are you doing this? You're like creating issues in our relationship." And she's still like, "Answer, please, answer, knock knock." So he ends up saying, "Who the fuck is it? Like, who the fuck is at that door?" And she goes, "It's not me, don't open the door." She turns around and goes to sleep. So morning comes around and he wants to have a serious conversation with her. So he tells her, "I don't know how or what kind of conversation I need to have with you to let you know that it's really messed up that you keep waking us up in the middle of the night and it's creating a big problem." And this time she was like apologetic. She's like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to do it. I just thought it was a game." He's angry with that answer because it makes no fucking sense where you keep doing this to him, you know what I mean? So he storms out. He goes to work and all day she's sending him text messages like, "I'm sorry," and she's calling him, he's not answering. He's ignoring everything. He mentions that the last text that she sends him is like, "I'm so sorry. I know that sleep is important. I promise this is not going to happen again. Please forgive me." But the boyfriend kind of starts feeling bad because they had never argued like this before. So for him to ignore her calls or texts made him feel a little bit guilty. So he's like, "Okay, well, I'm going to forgive her and I'm going to make her dinner because I don't want this to be like the end of us." So he goes home, he makes her dinner, they eat together, and they go to bed. This time he gets woken up again with a knock knock. He glances at the clock and it's 3:27 in the morning, and he says that he wants to get up and just scream at the top of his lungs. Like, he wants to grab everything in that room and just fucking break it apart. So he says that he turns to look at his girlfriend that's probably next to him, like say knock knock, but instead she's standing on the bed looking down at him with the craziest smile saying knock knock. The way he describes this smile, I don't know if you guys ever seen that movie, oh my god, the movie Smile, okay, where it's like extended and it looks freaky. He's like, the smile was very off-putting. It was not like her normal smile. So as he's looking up at her with that weird fucking smile, he says, "What are you doing?" And in between that smiley face, she's telling him, "Knock knock." Oh my god, I got chills. At that moment, after she says knock knock again with her weird ass fucking smile, he says that her body started cracking and bending and it was like a scene from a scary movie, and it scared him so much that he jumps out of bed and runs to the kitchen. But once he gets to the kitchen to catch a breath, he hears a knock at the front door. When he hears the knock, his first instinct is like, "Who is it?" And it's his girlfriend's voice saying, "Love, please open the door. Whatever is in there is not me. Open the door, please. Whatever is in there is not me. Open the door, please. Please open the door. Don't listen to the person that's in there. Open the door." He has no idea what to do because he's like, who's the real one in the bedroom, outside the door? But in that moment, he had no time to do anything because whoever was in the bedroom, his girlfriend, comes out with that creepy smile, running full force towards him. But by the time she's about to get to him, he faints, passes out because of how scared he was. He says that he wakes up 2 hours later and his girlfriend is nowhere in that home. He says that he hasn't seen her since. He even made a police report or a missing person report because he has not heard of her. He has not seen her. Like, she's disappeared and has never returned. Honestly, that scares me more because what if one day she comes back with her creepy ass smile? Can you imagine? Knock knock. Oh, I just scared myself. Anyway, what do you guys think? Because first of all, the first knock knock, if my husband woke up and said knock knock and I'm like, who's there? It's not me, don't open the door. Divorced, bitch. What the fuck?
I like to play a little game at home called Refrigerator Jenga, where I try to remove something from the very back without moving any of the items cluttered in front of it. And it's fun because if I win, I get my item and I feel proud of myself. And if I lose, I spend 40 minutes cleaning up marinara and broken glass off the floor.
I did not believe in ghosts until Monday night. My whole life, I just have never, I'm just naturally skeptic about like the good spirits and the bad spirits. Like I have a hard time believing in anything, you know? My husband believes in everything. So, you know, he's claimed to have spirits visit him throughout his life, you know, and things like that. But I have just always been like, okay, yeah, I believe that you believe you saw that. But then, like, you know, I don't know. I have a hard time with that. Monday night, though, I was laying in bed. My bed faces the door, which was open, and then there's the hallway, which is just a wall. Okay, so my husband was playing video games, and sometimes he comes up and checks on me, and then he goes back down. So I see a shadow of what I had no reason other than to believe that was him come check on me and leave. So I called him and I was like, hey, can you come back upstairs? I want to talk to you for a second. And then he was like, oh, no, I'm in the basement. What do you mean? I was never upstairs. And I was like, oh, okay. Someone's in the house. Come upstairs. Grab your weapon and come upstairs. So he runs upstairs with his weapon. We're looking around the house. This is all happening very quickly. There's nowhere that anyone could have gone in that amount of time or we wouldn't have found them. So, I mean, at this point, I'm not thinking anything paranormal still. I'm just thinking like someone's in my house. So I'm checking on my babies. I looked everywhere in my kids' rooms. My daughter was asleep on my floor because she wasn't feeling good. So I looked in my room. Everything was good. There was no one there. No windows were open. No doors were unlocked. So we go downstairs. We kind of start talking about it. He's already convinced himself that it's paranormal. So he's called his family members that have also seen paranormal things in their lifetime. And he's talked to them. And we go upstairs and we see like where the light was, and I'm like, okay, something else had to have happened. Like something else could have cast that shadow. Like maybe there was a bug fly in front of the light or something. Like let's just mess around with the light, see what could have caused the shadow. The only way that I found that could have cast a shadow the way that it would have had to have been a very, very tall person to cast from where I saw on the wall all the way down. And it would have had to have been standing in the nursery doorway. So I think that's weird, but I'm still, I'm not going to that place. Like, it just, okay, I kind of am now, I guess. I should be honest. I kind of am thinking about it, but not like I'm still in denial. So I'm looking around. We don't see anything. I don't have, like, a bad feeling or anything. I feel pretty neutral. People say like that you can feel evil energy. I don't know, but I didn't feel anything. So, I was downstairs, kind of just like looking around, and then my husband went into the nursery, starts yelling, "Get the babies!" So he picks up what happened was he saw the spirit that he had seen throughout his childhood standing above our daughter in her crib. And so we were out of that house in 20 seconds in the car on the way to my mom's house. Like, that's just, we were gone. We were not risking anything. I'm a skeptic, but I'm not stupid. I'm getting out of there. So then we have animals. So we had to go back in the morning to go feed our animals. He went with my dad. My dad went to go, check things out. I stayed at my mom's house with my babies. They came back. They were like, nothing's weird. We didn't feel anything. All good. So now I'm not worried. We went back at night to feed the animals dinner. We're like, okay, we're going to stay at the house one more time just because, we're still like a little freaked out of what it could have been because I know what I saw. I know that someone was there. Like, I don't know. I know that I saw something. So I'm still a little freaked out. So I go over there with my husband to feed the dog, but I'm not even worried. So I open the door, not even scared. And every cabinet and every drawer in my kitchen was wide open. My husband didn't leave it that way. My dad said that they were all closed when they left. Like, you know, and then I went into each of my rooms, each of like my kids' rooms and my room, and all the drawers were wide open. I went into my bathroom, wide open. My cabinets were wide open. So I was freaked out. I was out of there. We called my parents. They came. All four of us were walking through the house, trying to see like if something was taken, trying to see if like someone had broken into my house. There was nothing taken. There were no like entrances of the home that were left unlocked or like weirdly opened or anything. Any of the valuable stuff in my house was still there. Like, so it didn't look like someone had broken in, but I don't know. So I am feeling weird about it. I do feel, I don't know, like I sound crazy being like, there's a ghost in my house, but I don't know. Like, I'm freaked out now. So now what I'm going to do about it is I'm going to go and I'm going to salt the outside of my house. I'm going to go give it a good sage. I'm going to get a religious leader to come bless the home, kind of say a prayer over everything, and we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated. But now I have like my cameras working, and because my cameras were there, but they weren't like, I have like a blink camera, and so my notifications and like movement was off. So now I have it on, and it'll notify me if there's any movement or activity. I don't know. I feel stupid saying this, but I'm scared. I don't know how to like explain some of that. But yeah, keep you guys updated.
If you think your dating life is bad, let me tell you a story. Okay, let me tell you a story. See that back there? That's a suitcase. On Monday, I drove 3.5 hours to go visit a guy because he's in the Army and he just never could come visit me. Whatever. So I drive out there to go spend time with him and be close that I can see him every day for 5 days. I come over, he makes me dinner the first night, burnt the dinner to a crisp. Nothing against it, most men can't cook. Not surprised. So he's like, you know what? I'm gonna make dinner tomorrow night. So tomorrow, the next day, I just go drive around and I go grocery shopping and I get like $30 worth of groceries to make like a chicken garlic parm dinner. I go back to his place. For 2 hours, I am cooking so that the house smells good when he gets home and that he has something hot and ready to eat when he gets home. So I make this dinner. I prepare it. It's in the oven. He doesn't want to eat when he gets home right away, which like whatever. He's like, I'm going to go work out and then I'm going to eat. And I was like, cool. So he goes and works out. He comes out and we eat dinner. Does not say thank you for cooking the food. He does not say thank you for buying the food. And he doesn't even really compliment. He was just like, at the end, it was like, oh, it was good. That was it. And so then I do the dishes and I clean up. He kind of piddles in there a little bit and like dries and puts away the dishes. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he had a long day at work. You know what? I have no idea. He's in the Army. Who knows? Who knows what kind of day he had? So I was like, okay, I'll try again tomorrow. So the next day I go out and I get more groceries. I buy the groceries. I go back and I make dinner. He comes home a little early and he goes straight to his bedroom. And I'm like, okay. So I wait an hour and a half and I'm like, well, he's still not out here. So I'm going to make dinner and eat because I'm hungry. And it's like 6:30 at the time. And I was like, okay, I'm making dinner. So I make a quesadilla for me. I make extra and put it in the microwave for him. He comes out like 45 minutes later after I finish eating. I already washed my dish and put it away. And I'm just sitting on the couch talking to a friend. He literally, I was like, hey, dinner, I made dinner, it's in the microwave for you. And he was like, cool. Goes in, grabs it, literally walks right back to his bedroom. And sits in there and eats the quesadillas that I made by himself. And I know I'm really worked up about it because right now it is 10:30 at night and I am going home a day early because I'm not doing this. I'm going to be home at 1 a.m. I don't care. So he comes back out and I was like, so what'd you think of it? And he was like, it was good. Tasted like an actual quesadilla. It tasted like an actual quesadilla because it was an actual quesadilla, okay? It was an actual quesadilla. I was like, okay, whatever. It's fine. I'm not making dinner tomorrow night. I'm just not doing it. I'm not spending more money on this ungrateful man. So he comes back from work and he's like, hey, what you been doing? You just been chilling today? I'm like, yep, just been chilling. Calling people back home, they're checking in on me, whatever. And he was like, okay, I didn't know if you made dinner or anything. I'm like, I make dinner. No, I did not. So I was like, do you want to watch a movie tonight? And he was like, well, I think I'm going to just work out and make some dinner. And I was like, okay, cool. So he works out, he burns something in the kitchen for dinner. And I'm literally like waiting to see if he's done and we can watch a movie. He goes back to his bedroom like a troll, like a hermit. And so I go and I sit on the couch and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch a movie. So I walk out there to go sit on the couch and select a movie. And I hear this man in his bedroom talking to another woman. And I literally have the receipts on this, but he's literally in his bedroom playing a game, talking to another woman. And like the first night that I came over, he was like, I'm gonna go back and play my game. And I'm like, I wonder if he's just been talking to this chick the whole time. So I was like, I was on the phone with my friend. I said, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm gonna just make up some crappy story and I'm leaving. So I packed up all my stuff. I put it by the door and I knocked on his door and I hear him, oh, hold on a second. Somebody's knocking at my door. I'm gonna hang up and I'll call you back. I'm like, somebody's me, that person that drove 3.5 hours and took time off work where she could have been earning money to spend time with you. Yeah, that's that someone. So he opens the door and I'm like, hey, my mom's having a medical emergency. She's in the ER. I gotta go home. Total lie. Super fabricated. I mean, I really should have just told him straight up that I think you're boring. I think you have no manners. And why are you talking to another girl in your bedroom? Like, while one is sitting on the couch, literally in your own home. So yeah, I am currently driving home. I am set to arrive at around 1:30 a.m. back in Mississippi. I'm so sick of dating. I'm so sick of dating because I don't know what it is about me, but I just attract the douchiest men, like the douchiest men. And this is terrible. At least I have enough self-worth, I think, to leave. I'm not going to stick around, but like at the same time, why does this keep happening? What did I do? What did I do wrong? I was never messy. I cleaned his house while he was at work. I swept the floors. I cleaned the kitchen. I cleaned the plastic he burnt off his stove the night before. I cleaned his bathroom. Like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, I might be doing too much, honestly. I might be doing too much. It's not that I'm not doing enough. But like, I'm a traditional kind of gal. Like, you open the door for me. You carry my bags. Like, you say thank you if I cook for you. You should want to spend time with me. Otherwise, I don't know why we're even considering dating. Like, this is just, it's bad. It's bad. Anyways, that's my rant. So if you think your dating life sucks, mine's probably worse. It's not that bad because I always get out of it, but like, this keeps happening. And this one is the worst because I actually drove here. He would not even come to visit me. He would not come to visit me first. And I drove here. I spent my gas. I spent my money on groceries. I spent my time cooking and cleaning. And yeah, this is what it has amounted to. So I blocked him, so he's hopefully not going to see this video. But if he does, dude, you got to step up your game because you suck. You are boring. You're so boring. And you need some serious manners, and I don't think you're ready to date because I don't think you know how to treat a woman, or you're just a player and a cheater. So, yeah, I'm disgusted with dating. So the next guy that takes me on a date better impress me, or I might be an old hag that lives by herself with her farm animals. I'm just like, ah! I was literally shaking when I knocked on his door and I was picking up my bag sleeve because I was like so upset. I was like, this is bad. So yeah, that is my fun story. I wish it was fake, but I don't even think I have the creative juices to create something like that in my head. But yeah, dating sucks.
I'm so sorry that I kept you guys waiting, but I seriously was living the situation up until a couple of hours ago. Quick recap, I went out with a guy that I matched with on Hinge on Saturday night, and it ended up going absolutely terrible. So it's me and my friend. He tells us to show up to his Airbnb at a certain time to pregame with like all the rest of his friends. Right when we get there, off the bat, the vibes are off. There's like 3 other girls there. They're getting ready. I introduce myself. Like, I walk up the stairs and I'm like, hi guys, like, I'm Winnie, nice to meet you, because I'm not the bitch that's not about to say hi. When they said hi, it was just like very cold, very annoying. And the Hinge match kept saying like, God, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm sorry that I had to bring you guys into this vibe. Let's go up to the roof and just like drink there. So we go up to the rooftop. He's chatting about how it's his birthday, how he had rented this Airbnb, and how they were being absolutely terrible. Like, they didn't care that it was his birthday. They didn't want to go to any of the places that he wanted to go. And I felt really bad. So me and my friend, we were like, look, just hang out with us. Like, we're going to go out, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to celebrate your birthday. I did start to notice, though, that he was starting to pay more attention to my friend, like ask her more questions and just be a little bit more intrigued in her life. It's not really important to the story, but I just wanted to give you guys, like, the vibes. So it's me, my friend, Hinge guy, his friend. He really wanted to go to this club called Havana, so it's his birthday. We're like, you know, we're gonna do whatever you want to do. His friend calls the Uber, we go down from the roof, and we leave, and we get in the Uber. The moment we get out of the Uber, I realize that I didn't have my purse. So I'm looking around for my purse. I'm looking at them. I'm like, guys, I don't have my purse. The Uber is driven away. Can you try messaging the Uber? I'm talking to his friend at this point because his friend's the one that called the Uber. Like, can you try messaging him and asking him if the purse is in there? He's like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. But chances are your purse is probably in the house. You probably left it there, or you probably left it on the rooftop. I was like, you know what? You know, at this point, I was a little bit tipsy. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, probably. Honestly, it's probably there. So, like, no big deal. I also really did not want to ruin this man's birthday and make it about myself. So I was kind of just like, okay, like, hopefully it's at the house. It probably is. And then we can just have a good night. We're at Havana. We're having a good time. I kind of noticed that, like, at this point that he's, like, really interested in my friend. So I'm starting to just get, like, turned off. I'm like, okay, like, whatever. You know, it is what it is. After a couple hours, we were lit. We were like, let's head back to the Airbnb. And here's where shit got stressful because it escalated so fast. The moment we get back to his Airbnb, he's like, shh, shh, be quiet. You have to be quiet. The girls are sleeping. Like, don't say a peep. Like, don't say a word. He's not even letting us stay in the house. He's literally saying, go back up to the roof where it's cold as hell. We were drinking. He's like, shh, shh, every little thing we say, if we giggle, if we talk, he would be like, shh, shh, shh. Meanwhile, we weren't even being loud. Like, we were trying to be as respectful as we possibly could be. But it was the fact that every little noise we made, this man was like, guys, you're being too loud. It was like, honestly, it just gave me, like, it gave me the ick. Like, we get up to the roof, we're talking, we're telling him, like, how cold we are and how we want to go back inside. And so he's like, fine, like, let's go downstairs. I'm thinking he's going to take us to the kitchen. No. He takes us down one flight of stairs because there's 3 flights of stairs in this condo. It's like layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 rooftop. He takes us down the first flight of stairs and, like, pushes us into his room and locks the door and, like, closes the door. It was at this moment that I remembered that I still hadn't found or looked for my purse. So I tell him, I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot to look for my purse. Have you talked to the Uber? I look at his friend and I'm like, hey, have you talked to the Uber driver? Have you heard anything? He's like, no, I haven't heard anything. I'm like, can I go and, like, look in your kitchen? Maybe I left it on the roof. He looks me dead in my eye and is like, shh, shh, no, you can't, no. I'm looking at him in shock and disbelief. I'm like, what do you mean no? I need to find my purse. My keys to my home are in there and the keys to my car are in there. If I don't find them, like, I'm literally stuck. He proceeds to tell me again, no, I'm sorry, but you can't go look. By this point, his friend had left the room and disappeared. It had been like 20 or 30 minutes now. So I'm sitting here, I'm like, well, can we try to contact the Uber? Like, can we please do something? Because us just sitting here and you guys just staring at me is stressing me out. Like, I'm getting nervous. Like, I need to find my shit. At this point, I'm starting to cry. Him and my friend are sitting on the bed. I'm, like, scooched into a corner, like, balled up, crying. Him and my friend are looking at me like I'm fucking insane. I am pleading with this man to please let me go check the roof. Let me go check the kitchen. Like, let me just leave this room. And he's still saying no. At this point, I don't feel like my friend is supporting me at all, and it's 2 against 1, and I'm feeling very, very ganged up on. So I'm like, okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to the bathroom because there was a bathroom attached to the room. I'm like, and you guys can sit here, and I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and I'm gonna call Corey, my baby daddy. I go into the bathroom because talking to them is not helping. I am still drunk, and I'm trying my hardest to still be respectful to this man. So I go into the bathroom, I call Corey crying. Corey is like stressed out. He's like, what's going on? What's happening? I'm telling him what's happening. I'm like, I'm trying to tell them I need to find my keys. I need to find my car keys, you know, and my house keys, because I can't get into my house. Like I'm explaining this to Corey. Corey's like, I don't understand. Like, what's the issue? Like, why can't you look for your shit? And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, no one's listening to me, dude. Not even my friend. Like, she wasn't even listening to me. Yes, I was intoxicated, but at the same time, like, I was still very much aware that I needed to find my shit. My friend whips open the bathroom door and she's like, we can hear you talking out here. Like, we can hear you talking shit. And I'm like, okay, but you guys are not helping me. So I had to call Corey to be like, hey, come help me, because they're not helping me. I felt like no one was listening to me. It was giving like angry black women freaking out for no reason. At that point, I was really mad at my friend. I had cussed her out because I was like, leave me alone. She ends up storming off. I think she ends up like leaving the room. And she's like, fuck it, I'm out of here. She storms off. She leaves. I'm sitting there like crying to Corey, like, hey, like, what do I do? I'm still begging this man, like, can I please just go check? Like, let me just go look. He's still saying no. About 5 minutes later, my friend tries to call me and tells me like, let's go. I called the Uber, and I'm sitting here like, no, I already called my child's father. I don't want to hop in the car with you and just be screaming at each other. Like, I'm not arguing with you about this. Like, I'm not doing it. So I completely was like, you go. So she ends up leaving. And another reason why I didn't want to leave is because I still didn't have my shit, right? Like, they didn't even live in Georgia. The moment I would have left, I would have never heard from them again. So I'm talking to the Hinge guy. It's just me and him at this point. And I'm like, can you go ask your friend if the Uber driver has said anything? Like, give me the Uber driver's number. Like, I will go, but like, I need some connection so that I can try to get my purse back. He's screaming back at me like, why are you blaming us? Like, we didn't do anything. He's talking about him and my friend. He's like, we didn't do anything and you're getting mad at us. And I'm sitting here like, I'm not getting mad at you guys. I am just like asking for empathy. Like, help me find my bag. Like, actually care at the fact that I lost my shit. I do take responsibility for losing my shit. That's all on me, but I'm just asking for you to maybe care? Like, what? I really did try to fit this whole story into 10 minutes. I'm